Hi, tribe. Shia here from Florida. And I'm going to share something today that I got inspired uh, while I was walking the beach yesterday. I realized, oh, this is a really good way to explain this particular thing. So, and a lot of what I'm doing is kind of bringing awareness to certain things around sexuality and relationships in a way that you might not have thought about before or even knew was reality out there. Because, as we bridge between men and women, which is, needed right now, because there's often a big gap there between understanding each other. And so I was thinking about how, how they say women often will fake an orgasm. I guess, trying to make the guy feel better about things, because it does take a certain skill, I guess, to bring a woman to that place. I think guys think that women are able to come as easily and simply as they do, and it requires more than just stimulation. There's a lot more involved around safety and being able to relax enough to surrender to allow that to happen. And there's also just some anatomy stuff that's involved as well, because we aren't all built the same and we have our G spots in different places, whether it's at the opening or deep inside. And, we have different folds and petals and so forth, and others have less of that. And so I can see how it might get confusing as to, where to stimulate. And hopefully women, we need to be prepared to share that with our partners so that they're not just guessing in the dark. But as I was walking the beach yesterday, I was like, this is a good way to express this, which is, so, how, or at least this is true of women, and I'm kind of curious, I have a feeling men understand this on some level, although it might not be to the same level. But something as simple as when you are going to the bathroom. And I was realizing that it takes a certain level of focus to even get your body to relax enough to either pee or go number two. So like, for instance, if you're in your bathing suit and I was walking the beach, I was like, wow, you can't really just pee so easily without sort of getting present and then letting the body relax enough and surrender enough to have it flow. So even though I was wet and in my bathing suit and I was walking, even just something simple as a casual walk keeps you in motion to the point where you can't really relax enough unless you're like really working on it, to overcome that. But in general, we're not used to walking and peeing at the same time, right? So it made me realize, oh gosh, usually it does require that we are still, that we're maybe sitting. And of course, men stand when they pee, but women sit. And then when it's number two, you're sitting. But there is a certain level of focus, presence, working towards that, like relaxing the muscles enough to allow it to flow through, right? And if you're stressed at all or not focusing on it, like, even if you got a book or something and started reading it, you could easily just not be able to let go and let it happen because you're focusing on something else, which is reading that book. So it's subtle, but yet it proves a point. And it's the same thing. This is what I'm trying to bridge to the female orgasm, which is that it's the same with the orgasm. So it requires presence, it requires focus, it requires stillness, unless you're doing the version of it that is like intercourse, where there's more friction and movement involved. But let's take the version where maybe she's laying there and you're pleasuring her. She's going to have to be relaxed enough to surrender and then focus. And then that combined with your presence and focus with your whatever you're doing, whether you're using your fingers or orally or whatever, it requires the two of you to come together with your energetics, and that's what builds it to the point of release. So I thought that would be a great way to express how that happens, because I feel like a lot of times, if you're a man who's kind of expecting her to come as easily and quickly as you do, think again, because she's totally rigged differently. She has to feel safe enough. She has to feel relaxed enough. And you both have to be present and focused on it. Even just the simple thing, Mr. Man, if you are not focused, but she's doing everything right, and she's focused and present, but you're not focused and present, and you're just, stroking or whatever, but you're not focused and present, she can't get there. Because I've experienced this firsthand, and I remember thinking, what is going on? Normally I can not have any problem with this. But I noticed my boyfriend at the time, if his mind was like getting distracted or somehow just not present or focused, it kept feeling like I was about to come, but I just couldn't reach that threshold, because the yoni demands 100% attention and focus and presence. And if you're not able to do that, she can't get there. So it's part of sort of that coming together of energies that mixes together, and you're able to get her there. And so women, take longer to get there. So like, for instance, she can't be rushed. If she's not relaxed, she can't surrender. And then, she can't go through all those stages of then getting, where she gets lubricated and engorged and all these steps that lead to it. So I thought it would be a good way to explain, men, if your bodies work the same way as far as like peeing or number two, there is also that same concept I realized of having to be still enough or present enough, focused enough, relaxed enough to sort of release, and then it flows. All right. Well, that's kind of a funny one, but I wanted to get that across to you today because I thought it was a good way to explain it that might make more sense, sort of on a practical level.